Okay, we will start the today's session. So that is the BFSK, that is binary frequency shift keying. So here, what is the main thing in the binary frequency shift keying means? See, you are having only two symbols. You should work with two symbols only, symbol 1 and symbol 0. Each symbol is associated with a waveform of a particular frequency as given below. Over here, S1 of t is equal to root 2 EB by TB cos 2 pi F1t. This is one signal and let it be associated with symbol 1. And for symbol 0, the signal is S2 of t equal to root of 2 EB by TB cos 2 pi F2t. This is how the signals have been given and the basis functions have been listed, and signals are expressed in terms of basis functions, and for representing the signal in the vector form. The signals S1 of t and S2 of t are represented in the vector forms as shown, and corresponding points have been plotted in the signal space graph. Okay, so this S1 point vector is being plotted as a point which is observed as message point M1. Okay, it has only one non-zero coordinate, the other coordinate is 0. In contrast, S2, it is plotted over here. First coordinate itself is 0 and other coordinate would be a non-zero quantity. In this particular case, the decision boundary has been shown like this. Okay, so you are one region is just below the decision on one side of the decision boundary and the other region is on the other side of the decision boundary. So if at all the any signal, if received signal, if it falls in this particular region Z1, you can observe in this region Z1, then what does the receiver will tell? Yes, the transmitted message might be M1 or it would be S1 or S1 of t or it would be symbol 1. If at all the received signal falls in the region Z2, then the receiver would decide that the transmitted message would be S2 of t or message 2 M2, okay, or symbol 0. This is how the decision region could be analyzed. Okay, so we have plotted the message points and we have analyzed the decision region. Region Z1 belongs to message 1. In simpler words, it could sorry for the network problem. Okay, till now we have studied the signal space diagram of the BPSK, signal space diagram of the BFSK, binary frequency shift keying. So with this particular thing in hand, let us analyze the probability of error. So how to analyze the probability of error is the question. So the answer is as follows. Okay, so before that, to analyze for the probability of error, let us have some equations and the sum of the basic analysis. So let x of t be the received signal. Okay, so what does x of t contains? The transmitted signal plus noise. So what is the nature of the noise? The noise is an additive white Gaussian noise. Okay, what is it? Additive white Gaussian noise. Okay, and if you draw the power spectral density, the power spectral density curve is uniform with an amplitude of n naught by 2. Okay, power spectral density means what? Graph of amplitude versus frequency. So what amplitude the noise is having? N naught divided by 2. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, now x of t is being given to the receiver to convert from the signal form to the vector form. Okay, it has been converted with the following method. Sorry, x1 is equal to x of t into phi 1 of t, x2 is equal to x of t into phi 2 of t. What is this x1 and x2? Remember, see, this is the received signal. This received signal has been converted to a vector. So how many elements this vector is having? This vector is having two number of elements. Why it is having two number of elements? Because any signal, any FSK signal, whatever BFSK signal, how many elements the FSK signal is having? It is having two elements. So therefore, the received signal itself also should have two elements, or the received signal vector or the observation vector has two elements and are given by the following equations. X1 is equal to 0 to TV x of t into phi 1 of t, x2 is equal to 0 to TV x of t into phi 2 of t. These are well known equations to you by now, because all while analyzing the three modulation techniques, you have come through this particular equation. Now, what are x1 and x2? Remember, they are the elements of the vector x. If you imagine x as a point, then x1 and x2 are the coordinates of the point x. What does x1 and x2 refers to? X1 and x2 refers to, yes, the elements of the vector x, that is true. But if you observe the x as a point, or if you analyze the x as the point, then x1 and x2 will be the coordinates of the point x. Now let us observe what are the values of x1 and x2 with respect to the decision regions. We have drawn the constellation diagram or the signal space diagram. Okay, in that we have marked two regions also. Okay, let me show that over here. So this is the signal space, and these are the original message points. Okay, you will have received signal with you, so that received signal would be converted to a vector. So the vector is named as x. You plot the vector x in the form of a point. So where does it lie? Either it may lie in z2 or it may lie in z1, depending upon the transmission and the noise. Okay, let us assume that, just observe the mouse pointer. Let us assume that the received signal vector, I repeat, let us assume that the received signal point, it falls over here. Okay, x falls in this particular region. Just observe, below the decision boundary, the region below the decision boundary, the region to the right side of the decision boundary. In this particular case, then observe the coordinates of the received signal point. If you carefully observe, analyze mathematically, then a received signal point is treated as x, which is having the coordinates x1 and x2. Any signal in this particular region will have the first coordinate greater than the second coordinate. You can check that later, but mathematically one can say that any point over here, just observe the mouse pointer, any point in this particular region will have its first coordinate value greater than the second coordinate. Okay. In contrast, if at all any point lies over here, just observe the mouse pointer, okay, to the left side of the decision boundary. Okay, any point in this particular region has the first coordinate lesser than the second coordinate. Just observe this particular concept. So this is the line, the demarcation line. I repeat, if the point falls in this particular region to right side of the decision boundary over here, then the considering the particular point, the first coordinate value is greater than the second coordinate value. In other words, I can say if x lies over here in the region Z1, then what I can say, x1 is greater than x2. In contrast, if the received signal point falls in the region Z2, what can I say is the x1 is less than x2. This knowledge has to be taken from the geometry. Okay, that is what it has been written. Signal space is partitioned into two regions that all of you know. The receiver decides in favor of symbol 1. So what does the receiver will do? It decides in favor of symbol 1. Yavaga, when the received signal falls in the region Z1. Okay. So whenever received signal falls in this region Z1, considering the received signal point over here, first coordinate is greater than the second coordinate. So therefore, okay, x1 is greater than x2. What are x1 and x2? Coordinate. This is the first coordinate and the second coordinate. x1 is greater than x2. So x1 greater than x2, I hope you are understanding. X1 greater than x2, in other words, it could be written as follows: x1 minus x2 greater than 0. Okay. Now, another way, if the received signal point lies over here, okay, or in the region Z2, then x1 is less than x2. x1 is less than x2, or x1 minus x2 less than 0. Okay. So with this, what can you understand from this conclusion? If you have a received signal point, okay, without seeing the constellation, without seeing the geometry only, I can tell. You have the received signal, you convert that into vector, okay, then you compute it, where compute the vectors x1 and x2. If x1 is greater than x2, then that point would lie in the region Z1. That conclusion you can do it. Okay. If x1 is less than x2, then what can you say? That particular point must and should lie in the region 2 or region Z2. This you are supposed to understand. So I repeat, if x1 minus x2 greater than 0, then what does that mean? The received signal point or the observation point lies in the region Z1. If x1 minus x2 less than 0 or x1 less than x2, any of the two conditions, then the received signal point falls in the region Z2. Okay, that's what you are supposed to remember. Region Z2 belongs to symbol 0. Region Z1 belongs to symbol 1. In region 1, if the signal falls in region 1, then what the receiver will decide? It decides in favor of symbol 1 only. If the received signal point falls in the region Z2, then the receiver will decide in favor of symbol 0. With this knowledge, let us derive the probability of error. All of us know the received signal point is a random quantity. All of us know the received signal point is a random quantity. Okay. So what exactly we will derive another random variable, or we will deduce a new random variable from the existing one. So what is this? If you carefully observe the received signal point, okay, the position of the received signal point is governed by the coordinates. So what are the coordinates of the received signal point? X1 and x2. Okay. So if x1 is greater than x2, region 1, x1 less than x2, region 0. So therefore, the x1 and x2 plays some role in the decision. Keeping that in mind, just observe x1 minus x2. The value of x1 minus x2, just observe greater than 0, less than 0. Okay, you keep this in mind and take a variable by name L. This is not 1, this is small l. Take a variable L which is equal to x1 minus x2. Remember, the x1 and x2 both are random quantities, hence L is also a random quantity. So therefore, naturally we should write like this. Let us define a new random variable L whose value is small l. Okay, this is how you are supposed to write. Random variable, if you write any random variable, it should be specified in the capital letters. The value of the random variable should be written in small letters. For your sake of understanding, let me tell a simpler way to understand the random variable and its value. So random variable is nothing but a class in your C++ programming. This small l, whatever you are writing, is an object of that particular class. Okay, always you cannot deal with the class. You have to create the instance of the class which is called as an object, and you are working. So therefore, what is any random variable? It should be written in capital letters. While making it mathematical or for usage, we have to write its smaller letter caption, that is lower case. So L is equal to x1 minus x2. Okay, what does L represents? This represents a random variable capital L. X1 and x2, they are also random in nature only. So what would be the random variable associated with x1? It is capital X1. What would be the random variable associated with x2? It is capital X2. So now in your hand, you are having three random quantities, x1, x2 and L. So x1 minus x2 would either be greater than 0 or it would be less than 0. Therefore, what values L can take? L can take both negative values and positive values. So that's all we can understand from this. Now let us consider two cases. What are the only two cases we can consider? Symbol 0 transmission and symbol 1 transmission. Okay, any one is sufficient, but for the sake of understanding, both in textbook and in this PPT, both the conditions have been given. So let us assume that symbol 1 or S1 of t has been transmitted. Okay, so just observe the condition. Some of the lines have not been written. It should be understood by analysis only. All explanations could not be given in the slide. So just hear carefully. What I'm saying is, let us assume that symbol 1 has been transmitted. So once you transmit a symbol 1, okay, S1 of t would be transmitted. So what would you receive? We receive x of t. So x of t would be always the received signal. Remember, either you transmit 1 or you transmit 0. The received signal is referred to as x of t only. So no change in the nomenclature or naming of the received signal. X of t is the received signal, whether you transmit either 1 or 0. X of t is the received signal. The content of the x of t may vary, but the signal should be referred to as x of t only. Okay, so x of t is the received signal. What you do, you convert that signal into vectors. Okay, what is the vector? The vector is called as x. How many elements are present in the vector? 2 elements. What are its names? x1 and x2. Yes, it has been written over here, x1 and x2. And remember, these are random quantities. Whenever you are working with random quantities, you can calculate mean and variance. So now what we are going to do is, let us calculate the mean of this variable L, or mean of the random variable L. So how L is associated? It is associated as, or it is written as, difference between the two, that is x1 and x2, the difference between two random variable values x1 and x2. So to calculate the mean, what method I will employ is, I will calculate the mean of x1 and mean of x2. Finally, I will subtract. That could be done. So therefore, what we will do is, I will calculate the mean of x1, mean average. So mean is, statistically it should be written as E. Here you should write the name of the random variable, not the value of the random variable, name of the random variable. Therefore, it should be written in the capital letters. So E of x1, what is the condition? The condition is symbol 1 was transmitted or S1 of t. So therefore, what I will do, I hope you can recollect, x1 is equal to S11 plus W1. Okay, what does I hope since we are bothered with the signal S1, it should be S11 plus W1. Don't bother about the further things. Just come to the second coordinate x2. It is equal to E of S12 plus W2. How can you get this x1 is equal to S11 plus W1? It could be obtained by solving this particular integration. You might have solved that x1 is equal to S11 plus W1. x2 is equal to S12 plus W2. How are you writing S1 only, S11 only? Because you are transmitting signal S1 of t. Okay, yes, this is a case. So now if you observe, the mean of the noise is always 0. So therefore, E of S11, S11 is a constant quantity. Mean of a constant quantity is always the same. So therefore, S11. Similar explanation could be given for this. It is S12. So finally, E of L is equal to the difference between the two, S11 minus S12. It is equal to. Now, if you observe what is S11 and S12, see over here, if you can either use this equation or this, so better you can analyze. S11 is root EB and S12 is 0. S11 is root EB and S12 is 0. So then applying that, okay, S11 is root EB, S12 is 0. So therefore, this value is equal to root EB. So what does this calculation mean? What does it say? It says the mean of the random variable L is root EB when symbol 1 has been transmitted. Similarly, if you analyze for symbol 0, the calculations is as follows. Calculation is as follows. Remember, you have transmitted S2 of t, but what would you receive? You would receive the same you would receive the signal. Received signal is called as x of t only. X of t it contains two it could be converted to a vector x. It contains two coordinates x1 and x2. Correct. So x1 and x2. Okay, so which signal has been transmitted? S2. So therefore, you should write S21 over here. So then similarly for x2, you should write S22. This has been derived in the second module only. So therefore, I am going little fast. So on solution, you are going to get S21 and S22. So now, if you calculate the value of L, so what is L now? It is the difference between x1 and x2. So if you calculate S21 and S22, so over here there is a small typing mistake. Okay, I'm very sorry. S21 would be 0, S22 would be root EB. If you go back again, S21 is 0 and S22 is root EB. Just you can observe that. Okay, so with that, S22 is root EB, minus sign is associated. So therefore, the answer is minus root EB. So now what we have calculated, what we have done with this calculation means, when you transmit so and so symbol, what would be the mean of the random variable L? What is the random variable L? It is the difference between x1 and x2. Okay, that has been calculated. You would know the reason why we have calculated L in the tomorrow's class. So we will stop here. So I am closing the meeting.